The Attorney General, if I read his language correctly, and perhaps I don't, at least in a between-the-lines fashion, has held out the following prospect. That if you would reveal to him information that you've never revealed before, help solve the, quote, conspiracy aspects, unquote, of the case, that perhaps some arrangement could be worked out for a reduction of your sentence. Now, what do you think about that?
Well, I don't think much of anything about that. This thing of being a state witness, or even being perceived to be a state witness, is there's a lot of pitfalls there. I mean, you can look at these people like Valach and then winds up dying solitary confinement. If I testify for anyone, it'd be for myself. And I'm not concerned with the state's case. That's their problem. I don't want to get involved in any type of thing, any type of situation whereby I would have to rely on the Justice Department, because they have I think they have sort of an inherent hostility to anyone from my background anyway, so I'd rather keep them at arm's length.
Would you be willing to talk here at the prison with the Attorney General?
No, I can't see any advantage of having an ex parte meeting with the Attorney General. I have no objections if he wants to question me under oath on a witness stand.
Well, let me stop for a moment and ask you, are you willing to testify before the House committee set up to look into the death of Dr. King as well as the John Kennedy assassination?
I think it would all depend. I think if they're going on the premise that I'm guilty and they're just, only thing they're interested in is finding out maybe who else is involved, I don't see much point in me testifying then. If I do testify, I wouldn't want to testify in any type of executive session, and the various members leak various, well, not members of the Congress, but members of staff leak information out like they did the church committee. You know, they'll say Ray said this and Ray said that. I would rather testify in public, not necessarily on TV or anything, but have a public record where it'd be available to anyone who was interested in it.
According to Ray, he was in Memphis on the day of the assassination under instructions from a man he says he knows only as Raoul, a man whose instructions he claims he had been following for a year. He says he thought Raoul brought him to Memphis to take part in a gun-running scheme.
Could you describe Raoul for me?
Well, I couldn't describe him except to say he appeared to be a Latin average height, 5 feet 8 or 9, 150 pounds. Kind of the hair was the only thing that was that stand out. Most of the Latins are dark-haired, and he was had kind of an auburn look, dark auburn. That's the only thing that really distinguished him from anyone else. Of course, I suppose you could dye your hair or something if you wanted to.
Did he at any time give you any indication of his being in contact with or belonging to any group?
No, my impression was it was more or less of some type of thing for monetary gain. There was no mention of politics or anything like that.
Did he ever mention to you the possibility of assassination or hitman operation?
No, I don't. That would have been that would have been kind of out of my league. I don't really think I have the Constitution for all that type of stuff. I don't say that as a virtue. Actually, it's might be a handicap in this type of society.
And on the bothersome question of where the money came from.
Altogether, I spent, I think, it was between $9,500 and $10,000. So
this is from the time you escaped from the Missouri prison in April of 1967 to the time you were arrested in London after the King killing in 1968. Correct. You estimate you spent between $9,500 and $10,000.
It has to be somewhere in between there, yes.
Where did you get the money?
Well, I suppose I got a certain amount. I never got a large sum of money at one time. I think $2,000 most I ever came across at one time. And I got this off the individual. I mentioned this Raw or Alias or whatever you want to call him.
You have to know how many people who hear you tell this story will say to themselves, that is a cock and bull story if ever I heard one.
Yeah.
That James Earl Ray has got himself in a world of trouble. He's trying to concoct some story that will help him out of it, and this Raoul never existed, and that thing's fantasy from beginning to end.
I think so. I think I'd have, based on my background, you know, in jails now, I think people would be skeptical of anything I testified to through the media.
Let me see if I understand you here. That you're saying, all right, you understand that people are skeptical, perhaps even cynical about your story of Raoul and all of this, but that you're convinced that if you could put yourself under oath and put other people under oath with wide-ranging subpoena powers, that it would be proven that Raoul did exist?
I don't know if there's certain individual. I think it'd be proven that someone did exist, whether it's that particular name or not. But I think I could have my previous testimony corroborated.
What about the charge that you're a racist? Always have been.
If I ever went before a jury and you know, tried to pretend like that I would spend a lifetime as a humanitarian and ministering to the poor and all that stuff, they know I was either crazy or lying. So there's a lot of self-segregation in the United States. I think a good example is probably in federal prisons.
No, but what we're driving at is something deeper than that.
Yeah, you're talking about
that you've hated black people, always hated black people. That's...
Well, I think that's nonsense. True? I think I usually judge someone you have on these, you know, the individual person, but I think there is an instinctive tendency to associate people that you have something in common with, your background, things like that. I don't think that's means you're plotting to kill the other person or anything like that, but it's just it's an inconsequential thing, what I consider.
I want to run past you various theories that have been put to me as a reporter working on this assassination case over a good many years, and get your reaction to them as theories. First, that unnamed money interests were somehow responsible for Dr. King's death. They wanted to prevent Dr. King from leading his People's March on Washington, for one thing.
Well, that's the theory I've heard most, and the one that attorneys discuss most. They say he got beyond the integration stage and was interested in economics.
Well, another of the theories is that white racists were responsible for this. Their motive for wanting to get rid of Dr. King was obvious.
No, I think that would be totally false. I think it was their theory that Dr. King's activities was actually helping them politically.
3, the theory involving black militants being responsible, that Dr. King had become too nonviolent for their plans and they wanted to take away leadership for their black movement.
No, that's one of the 2 theories that I think the attorneys representing me wanted to put forward. But I can't subscribe to that type of theory.
How about the communists who, so the theory goes, wanted to stir up black hatred and foment rebellion? Fidel Castro, for example, has claimed had a special interest in this.
No, I doubt it very much.
Have you ever thought about a possible connection between the Dr. King death, your situation, and the assassination of President Kennedy?
Well, the lawyers have discussed it. I mean, I don't think that's a valid theory at all, because...
You don't?
I don't think you string a bunch of homicides together because there's different motives and different interests.
When I asked one of your former attorneys what your basic story was, this is what he said to me, and I quote directly. James Earl Ray would like to have the credit for killing Dr. Martin Luther King, but does not want to have to pay the price.
That type of conversation there is, that's more suitable for something entertaining, talk shows or something like that. But there's no, someone would have to be insane to, you know, get involved in wanting publicity, killing someone for publicity, because to me it is. I can't conceive of anyone, there is people like that, but I can't conceive of anyone wanting that type of publicity.
And you didn't do it?
No, I didn't do it.
James Earl Ray's story comes down to this, that he didn't do it, and the state certainly has never proved it in court. To someone familiar with the case, Ray's story seems to show that, for the time being at least, Ray is unwilling, or perhaps unable, to shed any really new light on the King assassination.